So I'm Nicole, founder of Wunderstars. I'm a LinkedIn coach for digital agencies, and I'm super excited to be here. So don't worry about how you pronounce Wunderstars. That's just a minor detail.
Okay, great. So you are going to share with us how to get chosen on LinkedIn without shouting louder. Anyone here in attendance, if you're a web agency and you also have a LinkedIn account, you probably already know this lady because she is out there and she is everywhere on LinkedIn. And that is her resume. That's why she's the one you want to listen to today to get some tips on how she has grown her business by maximizing her use of LinkedIn. So Nicole, I'm going to let you take it from here. I'll be off stage. If you need me, give me a holler. I'll also keep tabs on the chat. Everyone, please keep your questions coming. We're going to do a Q&A at the end with Nicole. All right, we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for this kind introduction, Stephanie. I am excited to go into my presentation. Right, everyone. Stephanie, just quick confirmation. Does it look like it's meant to be looking on screen? I think it is.
Yep, you're good to go.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. So big picture of me. Let's take this off. Quick additions to what Stephanie said. So picture here of my son. This is when he was just a toddler. This is when I set up my business. I decided to leave corporate life behind. I know for many of the talks already, it's not always the easy option, but I'm really pleased to have done it. Couple of clients, Atarim. I was privileged to work with Vito and the team at the time, and also Design Box. We have Thomas Amos in the next session, so fantastic. But I don't want to bore you with my background. Let's just say I'm really excited to be here. Now, I want to tell you a story, and we've got Stephanie hosting us today. And if you haven't seen Stephanie's talk yet, please do, because her storytelling is just epic. I want you to go back in your minds to 1989. Now, I don't know about you, but I was 13 years old and I was a really dorky teenager. Let us know in the comments, can you remember all the dodgy hairdos of the 1980s? Tell us yes or no, and we're going to check it out later because we can't always see the comments straight away. Well, I wish I could say this was any different, but back in 1989, my hair actually looked like that of David Hasselhoff. Yeah, that David Hasselhoff, and it wasn't a coincidence. And if you can remember Baywatch and The Knight Rider, then you know exactly the era I'm talking about. Now, the next thing in my story actually changed the lives for my family and thousands of Eastern Europeans. On the evening of the 9th of November 1989, it was announced on on German television that the wall was coming down. Now, you've got to understand, this was a thing we'd all been fighting for years. And suddenly it was happening right in front of our eyes and we couldn't believe it. We were crying, we were shouting, my family and I, we were dancing. And my parents promised me straight away that the next morning we would actually go over to Western Germany for our first taste of freedom. But you know, when we woke up the next morning and suddenly we had all these stupid fears. What if we didn't belong? We'd been told for years and years that people in Western Germany were so much smarter. What if we were judged harshly? And what if we looked stupid? And just as a quick question, I want to just tell us in the chat, just say number 1 or 2 or 3, do any of these fears resonate with you and sound familiar when you think about LinkedIn? Just say 1, 2 or 3. Now, for us at the time, the fears were so big and loud that we nearly didn't go. But then my mum and I, we were really, really brave and we jumped into our blue Trabant. This is roughly what it looked like. We took a picnic and we drove towards the border. Now, we drove on the German Autobahn, and even though we were really, really scared, what happened was just the most special day. Hundreds of people actually lined up the streets, met us. You can see it here in this historic image. They were singing songs and they were welcoming us. And, you know, I was so young. I remember they gave us lots and lots and lots of Haribos. And we had the best days of our life. Now, everything our fear had told us, would we look stupid? Would we be judged? It was completely wrong. And that moment when we took our blue Autobahn and we drove to the Autobahn, to the border, is something I think about all the time nowadays. every single time when I come across what I call the LinkedIn Berlin Wall of Fear. Because what stops most really smart agency professionals, agency founders like you to show up from really properly on LinkedIn isn't the lack of expertise or creativity. And, just the talks I listened to date, the Web Summit, has just been absolutely amazing. So you all really know your stuff and you're really highly creative. So it isn't that. It's really fear. So when you are not showing up properly on LinkedIn for your agency, it's a relatable expert, someone who gets recognized by your ideal audience, it's really costing your agency money. It's costing you money. And this is what we're going to talk about today. How can you use LinkedIn to become a relatable expert, the one people remember, the one people trust? And most importantly, we are not doing marketing for fun, even though LinkedIn can be a little bit fun. The one people choose. So let's talk about, first of all, really why this matters. Now, we already had talks about why you need to be a trusted expert, why there's so much AI out there. And it's really, really important in times of uncertainty that your clients can see themselves in you. And it's the same on LinkedIn. Now, this is not about shouting louder. This is about becoming up as a trusted expert. So, because when you do that, the nice thing, and this is the marketing goal you want to get to as an agency founder, as an agency professional, you become more memorable and people remember you actually for the right reasons, so that your agency gets chosen and you get that next job and you get on that exciting shortlist. So when you don't do this, and this is what happens when people get this wrong, you can end up being a commoditized service. You end up competing on price and you're stuck with referrals. And I know that sounds exciting at first until you get stuck at the same price points for years and it doesn't really allow you to grow your agency. And worst of all, you become interchangeable and even indistinguishable. And for me, as a LinkedIn coach, as a marketing coach, having worked with agencies since 2019, it's really, really frustrating because it's not because you don't know your stuff. This really happens despite you being genuinely excellent. It's frustrating because when you don't show up on LinkedIn properly, people simply can't place you. They don't know what you care about. They don't know what your beliefs and your values are. And today, where trust is so important, and we heard that in the other talks, this is really, really essential. So how do you end up in this place? Let's imagine you're a potential buyer, you this lady here, and you're looking for a different agency. Maybe you're looking for an AI consultant. And when you all sound and look the same on your digital footprint, particularly on LinkedIn, you seem competent, but the person who needs to make that decision is not sure what makes you and your agency right for them. And just like that, you don't get the call. So when you don't show up on LinkedIn properly and you build that trust, you lose business quietly. And today is all about helping you from feeling like you're shouting into the void, from knowing what to do on LinkedIn in 2026 to really being chosen for your agency. So one of the things, unfortunately, you do so often, and this is a comfort zone thing. And I know with LinkedIn, it's not so much the lack of LinkedIn know-how, but it's often a mindset. So I'm going to talk about this today extensively. When you go out there and you just share how-to tips, you praise your tools, this is a tech audience. Of course, you want to praise your tools. You talk about your services, you talk about your credentials, and everything is uber polished. And you have AI perfect expertise. Unfortunately, because everyone is doing the same, people can't place you, right? They don't know really what you're about. And just like that, your agency doesn't get that call. And this is what I really want you to work on. Because when you share thought leadership, just like I showed you in that slide, without showing relatability, in my experience, it simply doesn't convert. So it's really, really important that we fix this. Now, yes, we heard in several other talks, we had Arello and we have Robello, thought leadership is really important. But, and here, look at the stat, 71% of decision makers actually say that thought leadership is more effective than sales or marketing at showing a company's value. Let's just sink that in, 71%, that's a high figure. So if your expertise is strong, but people can't feel you and they can't place you, you're doing all the right things, but you are not getting the results. And this is really where relatability on LinkedIn comes in, because it isn't just about being recognizable and memorable and for your favorite tribe. It's really about answering those questions in your LinkedIn strategy. Is this someone like us? Do they understand our reality? And would this feel like a safe decision? And if people can't see that from your LinkedIn profile, you're going to lose business. And often, I said this before, this is not about LinkedIn know-how, and I'm sure you've watched lots of YouTube videos and you follow some cool people on LinkedIn. It's really about this fear about showing up as a brave, relatable person, and we're going to work on this today. So the LinkedIn Berlin Wall of Fear, let's just practically speak about what I see in some of the smartest agency owners. And if I can ask you maybe a quick question in the comments to say if any of these sound like something you would sometimes feel. I have nothing interesting to say, number one. I need to sound uber professional. LinkedIn isn't Facebook, right? I hear this all the time. And number three, if I put myself out there, what will my peers think of me? Now, I just want to briefly reassure you, when you post on LinkedIn, you are not actually posting for your peers, you are posting for potential clients. So hopefully that reassures you with 1, 2, and 3. So please let us know in the chat. Stephanie and I will check that out later as well. Which of these fears most resonate with you? Now, when this happens, when you go back into this place of fear, your LinkedIn Berlin Wall goes up. And then what happens on LinkedIn is this. Either nothing ever feels too good to post. It's not perfect enough. So your profile, unfortunately, ends up looking like a ghost town. And opportunities go to competitors. Or what you post is actually so uber polished and so safe, really reflecting that list I showed you earlier, that your agency brand becomes uber forgettable. And marketing, which is all about grabbing people's attention and the right people's attention, this is really where we don't want to be. So I want to encourage you today to think as LinkedIn as a really good opportunity for your agency. And just to know that these Berlin walls of fear, I see them in all the smartest people. They're really normal. And once you acknowledge them, it's easier to tackle them. Because breaking through your own LinkedIn Berlin wall of fear doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. I wish that was true, but it's usually one post, one braver decision at a time, which will really help you to make a huge difference. And I know when people hear I'm saying, please be more relatable, they immediately think, I don't want to overshare. And let me just reassure you, showing relatability is actually not about oversharing. It's about figuring out what other things in your life which are personal and you are happy to share, and what other things in your life which are too private and you wouldn't want to share them. Let me know in the comments. Do you know where the distinction is between things which are okay to share, which would really benefit your business, and things which are not okay to share? I would love to be able to see that when I check out the comments. Okay,
Nicole, I'm popping in because I want to share things. Okay. Oh, sorry.
What do we see? What do we see? Are people saying
I wanted
they know
to
how
share
to make this distinction?
what they're saying. It was on the previous one, on the 1, 2, 3. Can you go back to that slide?
Of course. Yeah. What do they say?
Okay, there it is. All right. We've got a 3, all 3, a mix of 2 and 3, 2, 2 and 3. So we've got a lot. We've got a lot of things going on there. And we've got some love for the Berlin Wall analogy, which is always
wonderful.
Great. Like it's a hit every single time you do these kind of things. And then I just had to share this one thing. I have a very good friend and colleague who is at our Thursday meetups every single week in the Focus on Your Biz Facebook group, named Uta. And she said, your smile and enthusiasm are so contagious. I'm grinning like an idiot at the screen. That's exactly what Nicole does. And then she said this, which I don't know how to say. So maybe you can tell me what that means. I hope it's appropriate. What if that was...
What was it? Say it again.
This is
What
Uta.
was
Can you see the screen, what it says on there?
No, I'm not going to risk losing my slides, but Uta
Oh, okay,
speaks
okay.
German, so Uta, I
She
promise
does.
you I will check it. I just want to say, Stephanie and I, we really appreciate everyone being so honest about acknowledging their fears, because it makes a massive difference in how you treat your LinkedIn going forward. So let me just go back to the slide I was, and I promise
Sorry
you I
to
will find
interrupt.
my
I
way.
just had to share
No, I
that
love
with
it.
you.
I absolutely love it, because this is what it's about, isn't it? Really being practical
I'll
and
pop
sharing these
back
golden nuggets.
in a little bit.
Oh, you superstar. Thank you, Stephanie. Guys, you know I'm not as technically as you are, so Stephanie kindly helped with saying she was bring the comments to forefront, and I will jump in later as well. So this is what it means, really, the difference between what is personal and what is too private. So personal is all about showing how you think, what you value, how you make decisions, and really what lived experience shapes your perspective. And if you think about it, this is really your superpower in the age of AI, because whether you work with Mrs. ChatGPT or Claudia, they are not really great at this. Now, on the other side, when you have a post idea, this is what it, in my view, means to be too private. And I want you just to not use those things that don't build trust, things that don't serve your audience, and things that don't belong in a professional context. So when you have ideas for posts, just think about this. What would my potential clients think and feel if they saw this? And if it's not appropriate, if in doubt, just put it on the back burner. Now, I actually have a really amazing tool to help you with this, because you showing up as a relatable expert in a way you're really confident will make your life on LinkedIn so much easier. And I will show you this at the end. Because what I don't want you to be, and I'm so sorry I chose a lazy lady for this, but when you share your thought leadership and you don't do this in a relatable way, you end up looking like this lady where everyone is just really bored because they can't see themselves in your post. They don't know how it's relevant to their challenges. And frankly, they just scroll past it, because we know there's so many people posting out on LinkedIn. If it's not directly valuable for me, I'm super sorry. Your audience is going to be bored. But we're going to fix it, because just because you have a LinkedIn Berlin Wall of fear doesn't mean that you have to play it so safe that your posts are going to be like that, where you're on that pedestal and no one recognizes you and it's just bored, because that's not how you get more leads. So the Story Finder tool, I'm going to have a QR code at the end. It's all about helping you to uncover which stories are you happy to share that will serve your audience. And it's not about lots and lots of stories. It's really about strategic story choices. And, you know, we had Stephanie yesterday talking about the situation when she wasn't around to manage her business. What a powerful story. So use the Story Finder. It will help you uncover those stories, because this isn't about shock value. You know, this really isn't about shouting louder, guys. This is about showing empathy and relevance. And we don't want to have a crying CEO or any exposure for the sake of it. So hang in with us. We're going to have a QR code on the last slide, because when someone jumps at your LinkedIn, you know, the most important decisions about you are really made when you're not in the room, right? And so what people see is really, really important. Now, just picture this. I want you to be in the shoes of your ideal audience. So let's say a business owner or a marketing manager, right? Like I used to be a marketing manager and a director. I know how stressful that can be. Just picture this. You've been tasked to come up with a new agency, to shortlist a new agency, and you're really, really busy. So of course, you're going to go onto the agency's websites, right? And what you find there is same kind of case studies, same kind of blogs, same kind of prices. So you then use AI, maybe Claudia, to compare them further. And you ask them also, please look at their website profiles and their URL profiles, URL personal pages and company pages. We want to know if they're right for us. Now, the blue agency, you check them out on LinkedIn, and you actually get a feel for how they work with their clients and how they make their clients feel. You also find that the problems they're talking about are actually problems you are facing in your own company. Now, then go to the green agency. Green agency, long list of tech tools, long list of credentials, and uber polished list of award entries they've won. but you don't really get a sense for who their team is. You don't really get a sense for what their founder cares about, and they're sounding a bit aloof. So if you had to make that choice, and a lot of risk is attached to this choice, who would you put forward internally? Would it be the blue agency or the green agency? Tell us in the chat. Now, let me just back this up by data. 70% of people, of decision makers, say they are less willing to trust someone whose values feel different to their own. 70%, that's by Edelman Trust. Let's just sink this in. This means what they're considering when they're hitting your LinkedIn profile. Are these people different in their values, in their beliefs, in their background, and how they see the world? And that's why it's so important that you turn up in a relatable fashion. It's not optional any longer. It's, if people cannot see themselves in your content, in your posts, they won't stay long enough to see how good you actually are. So the relatable expert move I recommend to all of my clients, and these are some easy tips here for you. Signal familiarity before authority. Lead with shared experience before insight. So, because when people feel understood, they lower their guard and trust is there. And once trust is there, your expertise can land. And this is really what you want to achieve, because at times like these, there's a huge amount of uncertainty. AI demands that we make decisions faster, better, they're riskier. What people actually want is, they don't just want a marketing supplier, right? They don't just want an amazing web agency. They want trusted advisors. They want to know, can they make sense of complexity? Is there someone who will reduce risk? Is there someone whose judgment we can trust? So, because we do know, a person like yourself remains one of the most trusted sources globally, often ranking above traditional authority figures. Let this sink in. Trust has really shifted. It's no longer about your uber fancy job title, creative director, or an uber fancy logo. This is not what people used to see if they can trust you. And 81% do say trust is more important than anything. So it's not about shouting louder. It's about building that trust, because we know trust in traditional authority figures is declining, and it's really shifting towards human sources. And this is your opportunity. People who can demonstrate an understanding, people who show relevance, and people who show integrity. So when you do that, you become a trusted advisor, someone where feel is in their corner, because you show that sound judgment, you show that human empathy, and you show relatable context. So I hope I've really made a good business case for you now to see why you should turn up as a relatable expert. When I do this with my client, I have a relatable expert amplifier model. Obviously, I'm German, so I like a long word. But essentially, you have to think about, okay, so the expertise you talk about, how does that link to what they really care about? And in the middle, you are a relatable expert. And it's also amplified further by how you show up, your stories, your personal brand values. So all of these elements really shape how you come across on LinkedIn. And, becoming that relatable expert is actually really about uncovering what already makes you unique. And I know you might cringe now, so bear with me, because it's about amplifying what you are so uniquely in, what makes you you, and really amplifying it with intention. So here are some of the key questions, and these will be really useful for you to have. First of all, how do you not want to come across? Just picture this. Maybe that's too salesy, too corporate, just Mr. or Mrs. Know-it-all. Just take 10 seconds to picture that. Okay. If your LinkedIn profile is too much like that, that's usually fear talking, and it needs to be fixed. You also want to know, what does your audience really care about? What keeps them awake at night? I don't always say this out loudly, but this might be the key points you will find on client conversations when you listen back to transcripts. So figure those topics out. And what areas of expertise are you happy to talk about for the long term? And knowing that LinkedIn values you talking about the same things, so you've got to really link these to the agency services you offer. What conversations do you want to be known for? And also, what stories prove you understand their world? And by going through these questions, you know how to turn up as a relatable expert and really to unlock that difference factor, that thing that makes you unique. Take a screenshot of this. I would encourage you all as an action point from today to send this to your peers, to your network, to your clients, because what you will get back will really show you what makes you different. Because so often, I hope you're taking a screenshot. So often, with things that make you different, is completely obvious to everyone else, but completely invisible to you. So send out that question. Do it today when you get a moment. And once you see that difference factor, you don't just manufacture a plastic personal brand, you fabricate relatability and you uncover it. So this is the relatable expert model I wanted to share with you today. Now, people aren't deciding if your work is good enough. They are deciding if they can feel you, if you feel right to them, if they believe they can trust you. So you want to be that relatable expert, you want to stop shouting into the void, and you want to start being chosen. Now, because we know now relatability builds memorability and memorability builds trust, the very thing which gets you chosen. So you don't need to become someone else on LinkedIn. You don't need to shout louder. You just need to show up as a human being. Now, I know you have these LinkedIn Berlin Walls of Fears, but remember that story I told you in the beginning? Back in 1989, my parents and I, we drove in that blue Trabant. And it's really fear that nearly stopped us from having the most amazing day in our life. I want you to find your own blue Trabant moment, and I want you to be that brave, because I know you can break through these LinkedIn Berlin walls of fear, and it's so worth you doing it. So guys, thank you so much for being here, for answering all the comments. I'm going to check in here. This is how you can say hello to me on LinkedIn. I want you to get my story finder tool. So take a picture of the QR code now. This is where I will share with you how you find your best stories. And because I've been speaking at this event for 3 or 4 times, I wanted to give you something extra. So I'll also send you some bespoke post ideas for LinkedIn posts. So everyone, you've got this. Show up on LinkedIn, share your questions. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm coming back in now.
Thank you, Nicole.
Stop sharing.
All right, I'm going to take your stop. I got it for you. Hey, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. That talk flew by. I looked up at the clock. I couldn't believe that it was almost over. Now we are a little bit late for our next talk. If you're watching live, we'll be on with Amber Hines in just a few minutes talking about recurring revenue with accessibility. But I just have to put up a couple of these quick things. First, this is what Uta said to you that you couldn't see before, and I don't know what it means. Can you see it now?
This is so embarrassing. See, this is where I'm very relatable. I still can't show the screen, but I will.
It's right where we are. Oh, never mind. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. So here's a few things. Everybody was really loving your talk, Nicole, of course. And Zachary, our incredible social media manager here, then some, was freaking out because X went down. And he was so mad because he wanted to keep posting all the things you were saying. And our friend Richard said Nicole's passion is off the charts. And then others were referencing some of your other comments. I'm going to have to skip through some of these, but I wanted to put this one up that also, this was also Zachary. He said, Nicole's talk is why I don't like to see people automating their content with AI. None of their personality or familiarity shines through. And that sentiment was sort of echoed by a few other folks in there. Beatrice is on the weird side of LinkedIn, as she called it, where people don't take themselves so seriously, which is nice. I know I've been thinking about just posting, I do post differently on LinkedIn than I do on other platforms, but anyway.
But Stephanie, you have your amazing story now, right? And once you shared it on a big stage like this, LinkedIn is like a breeze. And guys, maybe this is one thing we can all take away from it. We all have LinkedIn Berlin walls of fears. It just takes that one post to make you that little bit braver. We're going to have Thomas Amos on, and he used to hate LinkedIn from design media. He's now an international speaker. And when he did LinkedIn really well.
Amazing.
It's
Thomas was in the chat as well. He had a couple, he said he struggles with the feeling of being judged by people that don't know him. So Anyway, yeah, so I'm happy to know that he was in the chat supporting you and
Me too.
chiming in a little bit. We are gonna have to go. We don't really have time to do any further questions. I always love talking to you, Nicole. We need a
Thank
coffee
you.
date soon, virtual coffee
I
date
will
soon to catch
leave
up
a
a little
German to
bit.
organize it. We'll do
Okay,
that. And
good, good.
thank
Perfect.
you.
All right,
Take
everybody,
care.
stay tuned. We got Amber Hines coming up in just a minute. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Thank you for all the lovely comments as well and great hosting, Stephanie. I really appreciate it.